sure your mic is on.
Oh.
That's helpful.
I'm talking. Nobody can hear me.
Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today I am your host Janet Michael, and we are live broadcasting from the Camping for Hunger bus in the Royal Plaza Shopping Center, directly across the parking lot from Rural King, so you can't miss us. And I'm going to introduce my guest here in a minute, but if you come in on the Martin side, come across the parking lot, because we're over on the other side where Rural King is. Before we get started with today's show, though, I have a couple of things that, it's Tuesday. So normally on Tuesday, I give our regular shout out to Donna Host Florist, because she does a fantastic job of bringing us a beautiful bouquet of flowers every single Tuesday, and this Tuesday is absolutely no exception. Their delivery person rolled up this morning with the cutest little bouquet in an antique school bus, had a couple of pieces of candy sticking out of it. The picture of it is on our Facebook page. Normally we do a giveaway and we ask our Facebook fans to go in and make a caption or tell us a story. However, because it is Camping for Hunger Week, and because we opened up the bank bag with all of the monetary donations that we received yesterday, this morning, there was a very small business here in Front Royal, Warren County, that gave us a very large monetary donation. And it is going to make a massive difference for the people that CCAP serves. So we decided to take our little school bus full of flowers and put it on their counter. So we're not going to tell you who they are, because I didn't necessarily get permission to put their name out on the air. So we may be able to do that later. But if you're shopping around town today and you see this cute little school bus with the flowers in it, like the photo on our Facebook page, make sure you tell that shop owner that you appreciate the fact that they are supporting our community, because that's kind of what it's all about. That's why my guest, DeAnna Cheatham, is here. She is the director of Warren County Social Services, and you probably love those kinds of stories.
I absolutely do. Those are the stories that kind of keep everybody moving along and encourage us to help one another along, especially not just this time of year, but all year round. Helping our neighbors are what we do.
And I think that's the other thing. I mean, we do this time of year because we know people are out and about, they're shopping, they're thinking about Thanksgiving with their families, and we want to make sure we draw attention to those people who are not going to be as lucky as some of the other families. But it really is something that needs to be talked about year round, because people aren't just hungry or homeless or cold or any of these things in November and December.
Absolutely, that's exactly right. It's really easy to see people ringing the bells and to see different commercials and, being thankful for certain times of the year, or only being thankful at certain times of the year, or helping people at certain times of the year. But it's really important to realize that there are 360 some odd other days when people really need our help. People are hungry. There are families that are working and trying to survive and trying to do the best they can for their families and their children. There are seniors and elders that are in the community that are trying to live off of a fixed income. So it's really important to be able to support those people. And then there's the Alice population that I know you've mentioned several times on the show. They are the working class people that are working one, sometimes two jobs. They may be one or two parent households, but just because of their income, because of childcare, because of rental expenses or housing expenses, medical bills, etc., it's very difficult to be able to survive and be able to provide for the daily necessities.
Well, and that was one of the reasons, when we chatted a couple of weeks ago, I changed out all of my guests this week because I wanted to make sure that everybody that came on the show while we were on the bus could speak to our community and the impact that a lot of what CCAP provides to its clients has on the greater community. So I had asked you about kind of maybe giving me a community snapshot, because I don't think a lot of people, we live in our community and we think we know who our neighbors are and who the woman is at the checkout counter at the grocery store, but that's not always the case. And I was hoping you could maybe give me some insight into that community here in Warren County.
Absolutely. So in 2017, Warren County had a population of almost 40,000, 39,000 people that lived in Warren County alone. Of that 39,000 people, there were over 9,000 people that received benefits from social services. That include Medicaid, that included SNAP benefits, which are your food stamp benefits. Medicaid, of course, is the insurance. It also included the TANF benefits, which are the temporary assistance for needy family benefits, or the checks that sometimes people will refer to. So you're exactly right. When you're in line and you see somebody that's, really trying to budget and trying to figure out if they have enough money, or you see somebody pull out their EBT card and they're paying for their food, those are the people that are your neighbors. Just because they don't have a sign out in their front yard that says, I am a benefit receiver from Warren County Department of Social Services, that doesn't mean that they aren't. And it's really important to not only respect those people, but to also try and help them in any way that you can. This is not something that you are a bad person, so that's why you're receiving benefits, or you made a wrong decision. At any point in time, any one of us could be on the opposite end, on the other side of that table, and that's a really important message to make sure that people understand.
Well, and that was something Larry and I talked about yesterday, because a lot of the families that CCAP serves are one, illness away, one car repair away from being in that position. And I think the other thing that's important to note too is that the majority of these people that are getting services from the Department of Social Services are not also trying to game the system.
Exactly.
That is such, that's another huge misconception.
It absolutely is. And unfortunately, sometimes you only hear about the worst of the worst. I'm sure people have seen, in the newspapers, because of fraudulent activity, that people are facing charges and have been convicted of welfare fraud. Yes, that does happen, but the greater majority of the clients that are receiving benefits are clients that are not only eligible for those benefits, but are in dire need to receive those benefits.
So then tell me, what should we know? I mean, I think it's great that you, be respectful, try and help. Are there other things that we can do as just regular citizens that make an impact?
Absolutely. Call. We're actually planning an open house at the agency at Warren County Department of Social Services in December. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have that open house is because it's really interesting to me. As much as we think people know about social services, there's more that people don't know about social services. So if you've had some sort of interaction, you may only know about the Child Protective Service side, or you may only know about the Adult Protective Service side, or adoption. However, you may not know or understand or realize that not only do those activities or things happen at the agency, but we also are responsible for determining eligibility for SNAP, which is food stamps. We also do benefits determination for Medicaid. Especially now with Medicaid expansion, it's really important for people to understand and realize that they may not have been eligible for Medicaid insurance previously, and now they may be eligible. So getting people to understand there are various ways to be able to apply. You can apply online, through the call center, coming to our office, that there's nothing to be ashamed of. So it's really important to spread the word about what social services does. And then not only just those things, but there are other benefits. We're doing a Coats for Kids project that we'll talk about later on. We also are doing our Santa for Seniors that we'll talk about again later on. There are other things that the community does not know that social services is a part of, not just in some respects Child Protective Services and investigating or just handing benefits, because that's sometimes what people think.
Well, and it's not always either about writing a check.
Exactly.
It's sometimes about volunteering your time.
Absolutely.
It's about, like you just said, coming to the open house and getting educated on your services so you can then educate somebody else in your family or in your circle of friends.
And always feel free to ask a question. Feel free to call me. Feel free to call any of my staff. If you don't know something, then by all means, we are more than happy to be able to not only provide the information, direct you in a way that might actually be able to assist you. Michelle Smeltzer is the community liaison. She is a wealth of information when it comes to referrals and resources and being able to link people with where they actually need to be. And it's the same for the staff at social services. If we don't have the answer and don't have the ability to help you, then we are trying to find somebody else that may be able to.
Well, and we talked, Larry and I talked briefly yesterday about Michelle, because he is absolutely in love with this app. The Warren County Resources app that is now available, that gives you it is almost every
Warren County.
Yes,
absolutely. So there is an app for that, so to speak. Since everybody is well familiar now with all the apps, there is a Warren County Resource app, and it's only available right now for iPhones. We're hoping to roll that out for Android phones at some point in time in the future. But any question or information that you may have, not only does it give you the information in regards to the referral source, whether it's CCAP or Social Services, the Laurel Center, Phoenix Project, it also gives you information as to what their hours are. It tells you a little bit about the service, and it also gives a contact name and phone number as well.
Which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And we're able to keep that information updated, and we're really happy because that was an app that Michelle Smeltzer, the community liaison, was actually able to get for free. So, sometimes it is about knowing the right person.
Yeah. Well, and you don't even have to have the app or a phone. You can call Department of Social Services, and now this is a resource you get to use yourself. Absolutely, because it's finally all in one place.
All in one place. And that's something that we've tried and really struggled with, trying to figure out what's the best way and the best means of getting all of the information to our community partners. We often work with the Sheriff's Department and the Police Department, and you don't want another piece of paper all the time. And everybody these days really has phones, whether it's an iPhone, whether it's an Android phone, you know, even if it's a free phone that the government offers, everybody has access to those things. And if you don't, then by all means, give us a call. That information can be provided to you. Not only that, but can also be sent to another person. So if you don't have an iPhone, somebody that has an iPhone can actually pull up that information and text it right over to the other person. It's handy and it's all in one spot.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about some of the events you mentioned.
Great.
I know Codes for Kids is going on. I want to talk about the thermal shelter.
Absolutely.
Because it was cold sleeping on this bus last night. It
I
was
can
my
imagine
turn,
it was.
and it was a little chilly. So I want to talk about that when we come back. We are broadcasting live from the Camping for Hunger bus at Royal Plaza Shopping Center. We are directly across the parking lot from Royal King. We are talking with DeAnna Cheatham. She is the Director of Warren County Social Services. We're going to talk more with her when we come back. Dylan is actually Facebook live streaming the Right Side Up Way today. So you can also watch us on our Facebook page. I'll be back in just a few minutes. I'm Janet Michael, and you are listening to The Valley Today. Ta-da.
Excellent.
Good job, Dylan.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, so when
Switch
we come
gears.
back, where do you want to pick back up with?
So you want to start with thermal shelter. There's some information on that. The churches are still getting kind of scheduled out, but it's starting December 22nd. And that will be at New Hope. I was like, what church is it? At New Hope Church. But like I even asked Michelle, it's chilly today. You know, if there's a need to start sooner, would they start sooner? And right now they don't actually know that, but they're looking for, of course, more churches to start off.
Well, and that's a good conversation to have,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if they have enough churches on board and
They may
can
be
rally
able to
the
start-
troops.
Exactly. And there's,
Yes.
of course, there's paperwork and getting all the stuff through the county, so that stuff's important to also have to do.
Awesome. So we'll do that, and
Okay.
then we'll talk about Codes for Kids
Okay.
at the end of that segment, because I know that's awesome. And then when we come back,
Yes.
we'll do the last segment is shorter.
Okay,
So
that
we'll
works.
do a wrap up where you can talk more about where can we go to drop off for
The
Codes for
boxes, okay.
Kids
So that'll be the
and
last
all of
thing.
that sort of thing,
Excellent.
and the date and stuff for the open house again,
Yep, okay.
and all that. So
That works.
awesome. Well, I'm
That
excited. You are always such an awesome guest.
I try.
I know you know what you're talking about. It makes it so much easier. And I'm like, I don't have to
Time.
worry.
Okay, I'm like, what does she want to know? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's fun though. People trying to get into the community where people don't understand that there's so much more. It is not always about writing a check. We need foster parents.
Yes.
You know, there's so many other ways that people can help other than just, you know, thinking that it's all about money. Money helps a lot, but in the middle of the night when you have a kid and you're like, where's this kid going? The money's not going to help.
Yes.
To be honest, the
you
money's
need a
not gonna
body,
help it.
and
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And that's not nearly as complicated as
It's
people
not.
think.
And you know, it used to be, it is 27 hours of training, but that 27 hours of training, half of it is now online. So it's not even a matter of having to come out for 9 weeks for 3 hours every night or twice a week in some locations.
Yeah.
But we're actually doing that. And that's a state initiative. We are in dire need of foster parents here in Warren County. If we don't have them, that means our kids get shipped off to other areas.
And
that's
that's-
taking them away
yes.
from everything that they know.
Yeah,
So.
and that's not fair to them. They
It's
didn't
not.
ask for the
And
situation
it
they're
makes it far
in.
more difficult when we're looking at bringing those kids back home, because unfortunately there are times when the kids outgrow the families. You know, they get exposed to various other things that, not that it's just Warren County, it could be anywhere that they don't have access to. They get used to being at a certain school that offers a variety of this, or maybe it's a smaller school and they like the smaller school.
Yeah.
So it can be different.
All right, Kemp is doing the weather, so as soon as he is done, we'll be back, and then we'll take another break at 12:50.
Okay.
We're very technical here.
I know, I can remember you said, okay, we're almost in, go. And wrap it up. Yep. Put that on there so I don't forget the name. So do the police stay out here with you at night? Is somebody out here with you when you're
Nope,
just you hanging out, huh?
2 at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I was like, oh Lord.
With the buddy system.
The buddy system.
It's Lonnie in a rocking chair with a shotgun. That's what
There
we
you go.
I have a taser.
There you go.
The taser.
Hey, that works. I know it's so cold sometimes nobody would come out.
Not today. I don't have it with me today. People can still come. It's safe. I don't have it with me today.
It's safe. Come out.
We want to
She'll tase
encourage
you.
donations.
Not tasers.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are broadcasting live from the Camping for Hunger bus in Royal Plaza Shopping Center, and this segment is brought to you by Valley Health, offering the latest minimally invasive surgery advancements. You can learn more at valleyhealthlink.com/MIS. So we have been speaking with DeAnna Cheatham. She is the Director of Warren County Social Services. I do want to say we are Facebook Living this too, so you'll be able to share it with your friends later, or go over to Facebook and tune in and leave a little comment and say hi, Dylan, because he is patiently standing here holding the phone. He's being a champ. Yeah, there you go. Nod your head. Nod your head. So DeAnna, in the first segment, we talked a lot about the community itself and the number of people that are in need of your services at the Department of Social Services, as well as CCAP services and things like that. And you mentioned, or we talked about the thermal shelter.
Yes.
That's a huge piece of, I mean, it's getting cold outside.
Absolutely.
So tell me about the thermal shelter.
Absolutely. So last year, kind of community partnership with some of the area churches, a community thermal shelter was set up. This year, that will be kicking off December 22nd, starting off at New Hope Baptist Church. Michelle Smelter is also very helpful and is actually kind of spearheading that movement with some of the churches. It's really important for people to understand, homeless people are homeless year round. Unless their circumstance changes or something, then they're homeless when it's hot. They're also homeless when it's cold. So when we get to go home to our nice warm houses and nice warm beds, or get into our nice warm vehicles, they don't always have that luxury. So what these thermal shelters are set up to do is that during the night, cold nights, they're able to grab something to eat that the church will be able to provide. They have some place to sleep where it's warm, and then during the day they're able to go back out. The shelters are rotated around with various churches that are in the community, so we're really helpful, really happy to have that assistance from the community. So if you're looking at a way to be able to help or to give back, talk to your church if that's something that you're interested in, and see if there's a way, if you will be interested in either helping maybe with food or even becoming an actual thermal shelter site.
And it is. I mean, it's one of those things we were talking during the break about, last night was the girls' night on the bus, and I can say that now because it's over. But yeah, we always try not to let
That's right, everybody know.
Yeah. So, but and that's part of the deal that Andrew sets for us. There are no
Exactly.
electric blankets. We have no heat on this bus.
It's roughing it.
It is truly roughing it with as many blankets as we could possibly
and that's
wrap
even
ourselves
a luxury to say that you have the extra blankets, where sometimes the homeless people, all they have was quite literally the clothes that are on their back, or some, a donation that somebody may stop and give to them.
Well, and that's one of the things too. So reach out to your churches, and it may be that the churches need volunteers to help with that. It may that they need money to help with food, because it's going to get. The forecast for Thursday is not great weather.
Exactly. There's a 4-letter word that I keep hearing being thrown out there, and it is snow. And think about it. So now if you have someone that's homeless and they may be sleeping on the ground, now they're sleeping on a wet ground, or they're sleeping in the snow. So that's also an issue for people to be mindful of and to think about. But again, it's not that everybody gets to go home even to the luxury of a big house or a small house. If you have a shelter over your head, then you're very fortunate.
Right. And these are not always unemployed people.
Exactly.
We talked about Alice earlier.
Absolutely. So Alice are the income-constrained, asset-limited individuals, and we have lots of those individuals. We have, in essence, the working-class poor. We see all of our hotels. Our hotels tend to stay full, and unfortunately, a lot of the times it ends up being a shelter. It ends up being a home away from a permanent home, and it can still be very costly. Yes, it may be cheaper than being able to afford rent, but in the same respect, you're also kind of left into one room. And unfortunately, we do have people that are trying to manage and trying to budget, and the only resources that are allowing them to be able to stay from month to month are in hotels. So those hotels, they stay full.
And that's tough. I mean,
Exactly.
that's it.
When you're looking at trying to raise a family and trying to manage your assets, it's not necessarily the best places to raise a family, not because of, the hotels themselves, but sometimes the mix of the people that are there. Everybody wants to be able to go outside and they want their kids to be able to run around. That's really difficult if you're staying in a hotel, especially a hotel that's near the street. You're looking at safety issues and safety concerns.
Well, and so speaking of families and kids, you've got Coats for Kids going on now.
Absolutely.
And this is a phenomenal program.
Absolutely. Last year, we were able to give out 134 coats, brand new coats to kids right here in Warren County. $20 buys a kid a brand new coat. We were so very, very happy. Doug Stanley, County Administrator, met with some of the members in Winchester in regards to it. And we started a little bit late last year. It was really about in November, and we were still able to raise enough money to give away 134 coats. We're doing that again this year, and we'll be able to tell you a little bit more about where those sites are, where you can donate, and how you can go about donating for those coats.
Look at you watching the time and knowing it's almost time to take a break. She's going to segue herself right out of this segment. So thank you for that. appreciate that. So we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, DeAnna Cheatham is the director of Warren County Social Services. She's going to let us know where you can make those donations for Coats for Kids, and then we'll get a wrap up of when your open house is and some of the other things that people can write down and mark on their calendars, and we'll do all that when we come back.
Thank you.
We are broadcasting live from the Camping for Hunger bus in Royal Plaza Shopping Center. We are directly across the parking lot from Rural King. So come bring us some cans. I got some volunteers that are standing outside. They look a little cold, and they really need to be unloading cans of food out of people's trunks and back seats, and even at the window. Just drive up, roll your window down, and hand us a bag, hand us a check, hand us $1. It does not make a difference. Oh, it does make a difference on this
That's
end.
right.
Don't think
Makes
it's
a
too
difference
small
to the
to
life
make
of
a
others.
difference to you. So come on out and join us. We'll be back in just a few more minutes with more of the Valley Today.
Excellent. I was like, oh wait, should I go into the list or
That was perfect. That was so
I was
perfect.
like, no, don't go into the list. Don't go into the list.
And it's so funny because over the last couple of years, I've come to know which guests I can count on.
Oh, okay. So it's like,
and
okay,
which ones just are not on.
So it feels like you're pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Mayatico.
Oh.
We'll look at that clock and I'll say, so when
You
we come
have,
back,
right,
yes.
you got 5
so
more
when we
minutes.
come back at 12:57, as long as you're done, that gives me 50 seconds to
To
wrap
be able
up
to wrap
and
up.
get up.
Gotcha.
Jerry will wait until 12:57, 42, and then just look at me.
You're like, you don't want me to
Thanks,
say
Jerry.
anything else? And we're done.
Yes.
And we're
Yeah.
done with all that.
And I've had guests that'll do that, and not always on purpose.
Right,
Jerry's
right.
always on purpose. But
I'm trying to see how well you can segue and get out of it.
yes,
That's what it is.
and there have been times when I'm like, okay, thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there now, that's
That they
why
know
when
what's
you hear me going really, really fast at the end of a show, it's because the guests did not pay attention to my instructions.
It's like, I try. I try.
And it's not much different here. I mean, it's a little chillier.
But hey, that's
you know.
okay. But you know what? We shouldn't complain. If my niece plays soccer, and so she was in the NCAA playoffs this past weekend in Baltimore, and we're out there like this, and I'm like, oh, go! And they're out there with shorts on. I'm just thinking, oh my God, we're all gonna be sick and have pneumonia.
Well, and this time last year, we were in short sleeves. It was very
Still
warm. Yeah.
It was still warm. It sure was.
Yep.
I told people, I'm here now. We're not doing snow anymore. I may need to make that announcement again. I'm not a snow person, but hey.
Yeah,
Nice
me
little
either.
dusting. Nice little
Yeah.
dusting, and
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah, I want to live somewhere where there is no snow.
Yeah.
I'll visit snow when I want to see it for an hour
I
or
like
two.
4 seasons as long as all of them consist of spring and summer.
Yes.
That's what I like. That's what I like. Let's see. There's the cue.
All right, we are back on the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are broadcasting live from the Camping for Hunger bus over at Royal Plaza Shopping Center. And this segment is brought to you by Valley Health Urgent Care. Can't wait to see a doctor? Now you don't have to. You can even check in online and save time at vhurgentcare.com. So for those of us watching us on Facebook Live, yes, I do read that every time, and yes, it is live. I've had people say, is that part of what you... I should have it memorized, but,
Exactly.
but I don't. So we are on the bus today with DeAnna Cheatham. She is the director of Warren County Social Services. And DeAnna, so we've talked about a community snapshot, what we should know about being able to help and recognize and understand those in our community that are in need of your services, CCAP services. We talked a little bit about the thermal shelter, and when we went to break, we were talking about Coats for Kids.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal program. Where can I make a donation? How does it work?
Absolutely. So $20, one $20 bill, 20 singles, etc., will buy a brand new coat. There are donation boxes that are located throughout the county. There's one at Social Services at the Health and Human Services Complex. There's also one at the County Government Administration Center. There is one at RSW Regional Jail, at United Bank, IHOP, Royal Cinemas, Royal Family Bowling Center, the Apple House, the Royal Oak Animal Clinic, and Southern States. If you're interested, then please, by all means, stop by Social Services. If you're not sure where any of these other locations are, we'd be absolutely more than happy to help take your money and help put that to good use by buying a new coat for a kid.
Absolutely. And we have one at the station that will be on the bus at 4 o'clock this afternoon when Lonnie goes on the air. So if you want to just swing by here, because it is easier,
Absolutely.
you
You
can
can
drop
give
off a
twice.
can and give us $20.
Can and money, and you can buy a new coat and also help a family that's in need. Those jackets will be going out with the Doc Smith Christmas baskets. We've partnered with Rotary to be able to help do that together. And if for some reason you didn't get a chance to sign up for the Doc Smith Christmas baskets, we'll also be able to still provide you a new coat to a kid. And they're not all the same color coats, and they are really thick, nice coats. If you'd like to see a coat, and even to try a coat on, if you need a size, because sometimes their sizes are a little large, feel free to stop by CCAP, or you can even come by Social Services. We have some coats that kids and adults would be able to come and try. The coats are specifically for kids, but the adults are the ones that are going to be able to get the sizes.
Well, and it's one of those things where I cannot imagine that you wouldn't collect 5,000 coats, because who wouldn't want to make sure that any kid is warm?
Exactly, is warm. And sometimes we'll see kids and we're thinking, they probably should have a coat on, and the first thing you maybe fault is the parent for not making them wear a coat. But if the only thing they have is a hoodie, and I get that some kids just like wearing hoodies even when it's 12 degrees below zero, but it's really important to realize that maybe a reason why that kid doesn't have on a coat. There's maybe a reason as to why that coat may be too small. So before we bother to judge someone else, let's see what we can do to help and reserve judgment.
And for $20, I mean,
$20.
you
$20
can't,
brand new coat with tags.
Wow, you guys are going.
We go all the way, all the way. There's lots of ways to help that we need in the community.
Well, and so I want to make sure, because you mentioned this earlier in the show about your open house. So tell me again, when is it? Where is it?
So open house we're looking at having on December the 14th. We're really excited. This is not like the open house that we had actually the year that I started. This is an open house where people are able to come in, get a little bit of a synopsis of what each department in my agency actually does. So a little bit of what it means to first walk through the doors, and who are you going to be greeted with my support staff. What happens if you have to make contact with one of the adult service or family service workers? If you need emergency intake help and you need a utility bill or anything like that paid? What happens when you need some benefits? How does that process work? What does it even look like? So that's what's really important about this open house. It's to help us to help inform the community and educate the community on what all the things are that we can do, and for you to be able to help us by becoming a resource parent for foster care, by volunteering at one of our events like our Jubilee that's held in April for child abuse prevention. And we also have our Santa for Seniors event that's coming up as well.
Yeah, and that information, you sent me a flyer, so I'll put that up on the podcast
Yep,
page.
$10, you can get a senior a gift and a meal for Christmas.
Awesome. That is so cool. So I want to thank you, because I always knew you were going to be a great guest, and you did not disappoint. You do a phenomenal job.
Well, thank you. And you do as well.
It is just great to be able to be partners with you, to be able to help spread this message, because it is an important message that you're spreading.
And I am very happy, and we will be donating food here as well. So guys, please come on out.
Yes.
Come on out.
Bring us. And later today on our Facebook, watch our Facebook page, because we're going to put up a special treat for our donors. We are going to start picking something that CCAP needs, and that's going to be our donation of the day.
Oh, excellent.
And anybody who brings that by is going to register to win something, and you'll get a picture of that on our Facebook page later this afternoon. So make sure you go do that. Tomorrow, Andrew Shear, owner of Royal Broadcasting, is my guest. So I hope you will tune in for that, because it is going to be a fun show. Andrew is interesting, those of you that have heard him before. So meet me on the bus today.
All right.
He was about 2 seconds delayed on my music start at the minute. But I finished on time.
I was like, oh, I forgot to mention the Santa for Seniors.
I know, I totally forgot about it too.
I was like, oh, Michelle's not here.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised she didn't start blowing up my phone. You haven't talked about this yet.
Santa for Seniors. Don't forget. Actually, this is the second year that we've done that, and they had such a good time. The only barrier that we had was that some of the folks needed like wheelchair access, and we didn't have that. This year we have it.
So you're still Facebook Live, right?
Yep.
So what is Seniors for?
So Santa for Seniors. It's an event that Michelle Smelter is also helping out with. Last year, another one of our former staff decided that she wanted to give back. She wanted to figure out a way to be able to give back. And what happens is that for $10, minimal donation, $10, it's held right here at Station 1, right here across from the Government Center, from 2 to 4 on Saturday, December 9th. Seniors will be able to get transportation there. They get picked up, or they can come on their own. They get a meal, and they get a present. So it's something that's really, really neat. The meal is completely catered. There's gifts. One of my own family service specialists, April White, will be the MC, and she's really great. She's great at being able to keep everybody engaged. There will be bingo. There will be some fun and games. And sometimes it's the only activity, the only really holiday activity that some of our seniors get. So it's really a good time.
Well, and sometimes they're a forgotten population, because again, you talk about social services, and you think about families, and you think about kids, and you think about that sort of thing, and you forget.
But sometimes you forget that they, like you said, they're the ones that are are not seen. Sometimes they don't have the means of being able to get out. And at least with this meal, it's not something that they have to try and prepare. It's already prepared for them. And one of the biggest things is that it gives some sort of not just support, but socialization to them. You know, you can die of loneliness, unfortunately. And so I want people to realize that they're not forgotten, regardless of whether or not you're the top 1% or 2%, or if you're at the bottom and you think absolutely nobody cares. I absolutely care, and so does the department.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your work.
Absolutely.
Are we done?
We can be done.
Do you want to, before you hit done, do you want to open up that box lid just real quick, and don't give them a big look, but just kind of be able to say, okay, that's something you may see later.
always
Like
so.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And we're done.
That's it.
All right,
That's
now
it.
we're out.
That's it. And let's take a look at all the food, too.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's how we're doing so far.
Yes, and those boxes are empty. Empty boxes. They need all of this
Fill
food in
those
the bags
boxes up.
to go into those boxes, so we got to make our box guy go get us more boxes.